what God is trying to tell you right now. Because when God is moving, God moves in time for you. But when it comes to miracle, God does a miracle. Then the miracle just function out of time, in time. So when the miracle function out of time, in time, which means that something that you might get in 20 years may happen today. So which means that the law of this world is that I grow up, I grow up, and if I had to leave, if I was to leave my 50, 200 years that I have to start living since I was a baby to get there. So it takes me a period of time to see a lot of rising sunshine and a lot of setting at the same. It takes me the period to see that a lot of rainy and a lot of dry season. It takes me to see a lot of things that is in time. But at the time, in my worst moment, when things seems like to be upside down, I don't find no way, I don't find nothing, I can't do nothing about it. And I pray to God who's in heaven, and for God to do a miracle in my life. So this is what happened. God operates in everlasting in time. This is God, only God can do, because time is in everlasting. And how can everlasting be in time? Because it's only God who can do it. Because a miracle, I'm waiting for something to come 5 years. And guess what? Because I'm under the law of time. If I do something, and I'm not going to be able to exceed time. Because if you go to school and you expect you to be a doctor of a physician before 8 years or before 10 years, it's not going to happen, because the law of time says that I have to wait for as long as I have to stay in school. The second part of it, I have to remain on that certain on that branch that I'm studying, not being varied, so I might get where I want to be, and who I want to be in life when it comes to the term of career. So this is all the law of time. This is all. But have you ever seen that when a miracle comes, it's something that you can't not dream of. It's something that if it was possible for men to do, it will take us millions and millions of years to do it in time. Yet God stepped out and put his finger on your trouble and say, I'm going to do for you right now. So that's the reason why I want you to understand, when God's doing something for you, God doesn't wait for 20 years. God doesn't wait for 10 years. God doesn't wait for an eternity. God does it for you right now. Let me tell you something. Because man was given an option. This is why time is important in my life. And this is why time is important in your life. Because time has been given to us. This is my revelation. I don't know if you have another meaning for time, but God has given me the opportunity to understand that time is an option to man. What option? Because the past is already past. Because there's a lot of people, you do great things in the past. There's a lot of people, you do bad things in the past. That's the reason why you consider it to be a past good action. You call it a good souvenir. But a past failure, you call it a bad souvenir. So you always have the tendency to remember the good one, but you never wish to remember the bad one. You know why? Because the bad decision in the past is something that can affect your present if you're still thinking about it. That's the reason why it comes to the case we're talking about. And when someone has done something to you, or someone had done something to you in the past, don't even think about it, because it might affect your present life. And that's the reason, if the past is past, let it pass. That's the reason the Bible comes with the understanding for you to forgive. If you don't forgive, you're still gonna drag that past, and until you can't drag it no more, that the same sin that you committed in the past, that you gonna drag it till to your present day life. This is the second. The second point is the present. The present is the most important option of time in your life for you to make whatsoever decision. Because the past, let us take a letter. You may be taking a lot of things and give yourself a lot of problem. Because you've done something in the past. You know that what you've done was so terrible. And you say, I have failed my past. But guess what? The Lord has given you the option, which is the most important option in time, which is the present. Before I talk about the present, let me talk about the future. The future is where you're going. The time is where you will never be able to go back. But with the options of the present, you can fix whether the future in the past. Because if you do something in the past, you know you can't go back on the past. But I know with a certainty that God has given you the option of present to fix the past. Because as you're still alive, you just put your knees down and pray God and beg God for his forgiveness for all of the mistakes that you have committed in the past. So it's already an option and a resolution to the past. But the present, it is not just about the past, it's about the future. Because how can I fix a future if I'm not having a present preparation? And that's the reason why if I want to be a lawyer, then I'm going to be focused on the law school. If I want to, if I want to be a president, now I'm just going to focus on the people and serve the nation and do things that's really good. And so these people can see in me a man that has the heart to do what I promised them I'm going to do. If I want to be somebody, there's and everything there is a preparation. But in my revelation from the Lord, I believe that God is the present God. In the past, the present, and the future is the option that God has allowed to man. But the past, the present, and the future is options that we can articulate. That is the options. It's the preparation for eternity. But this option has been given unto us to fix our life on earth. But God is a present God. You won't understand, because God says, I am the same yesterday, today, and forever. If God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, yesterday when you're praying to God, God was still God. Today when you're praying to God, God is still God. And tomorrow when you're praying to God, God will always be God. So which means that for us there is a past, a present, and a future. But for God everything is now. So God is the present God. So when I understand the revelation of God to me, I understand everlasting. Eternity is the present time. I remember that this back of the years, in the church, if I have to bring a little testimony, and it will be extraordinary to bring my testimony to you as we are in the ministry. And most of the time my father go and the bishop David Marcel go and preach in the church. My brother Pastor Samuel, we preach in the church, and I go preach in the church because we pastor in these churches, in these ministries. We have about like 14 churches in the Port-au-Prince only, and across the country there's more and way more churches that the Lord has blessed Bishop Daniel with orphanages and schools in the country. And I believe that at the time that my father was going to church, but he had a yellow truck. The truck that he had always, when he first bought the truck, that he was so happy because I believe that it was his second car, and that truck was so useful because that truck was strong. And we always go out and buy rice and buy beans and buy all sack of rice and everything, sugar, and to bring to the orphanage. And so we always use this truck. But there's a certain time the truck become old. When the truck become old, that we used to put like 5 to 6 big sacks of rice and beans on the truck. And you see, the truck bared it all. But at the time that the truck started getting old, that my father started talking about time. He's talking about time. My mother was around. My mom, Mary Ange Marcel, who went to be with the Lord around the year 2002. But they were talking about time, and my mom says that, you know, but what if time was not past? What if time was not, you know, something getting new and something getting old? The truck will be always be useful. Look right now, the truck that you bought years ago can't be useful as well as it was before. So I get that example to let you know that everything you are under the law of time. But God has given us the opportunity to be radical enough that even when things seems to be getting old, but our spirit in God is still young. Even when my body says yesterday was the past, today is the present, and tomorrow is the future, but the Lord that I serve and Jesus tell me that I am the same yesterday, today, and I consult and I look at my spirit. I say that the spirit, and or I can say my real me still remain young, because the law of time, you know, get the body old, but my spirit still remain young. Do you know why I'm telling you all of these? Because I know that there's something inside of you, it's still alive. Even when you believe that you're young, or that you're old, or that you can't do things, that you understand there is a beginning, there is an ending, but the Lord has telling you that everything you are might be a time low procedure, but He has given you the opportunity to be the present in the spirit. Everything has a beginning. You might be going to church, you have a beginning, because in fact that when you sing a song to church, before you start praying, the song has got to an end. When the service started, in fact that the service started, you know, at the end, before 9:30 or before 10 o'clock, you got to go back to your house because the service is going to be finished. But the relationship that you have with God is something that keep continue, because God put a present spirit inside of you. In fact, when you start singing, have you ever seen when you go to church, they tell you to get up, it's time to worship, that you get up with such a vivid mind and such a determined spirit, and to worship God. You feel like the first 5 minutes you stand is that you can go all the way throughout the day in worshiping God, because you got all of your energy to worship God. But after 2 hours you feel like that, you start getting tired. Guess what? Because the body is under time. The body, there's a time for you to stand, there's a time for you to sit down, and there's a time for you to go to bed. So when we are talking about the law of time, is something that really get us stressed up when it comes to that we're talking about time, we're talking about our body, we're talking about our job. Every time you wake up in the morning, you gotta run. If you don't get to job on time, you're gonna be late. If you don't go in a certain place on time, people are gonna rebuke you because certain things, this is the time you're supposed to